The US military just made an announcement about the B-1 Lancer bomber that has sent shockwaves through defense circles worldwide. What they revealed isn't just another upgrade or routine maintenance story. This is about capabilities so advanced, so devastating, that the Pentagon kept them classified for years. While most people think the B-1 Lancer is just another aging Cold War relic waiting for retirement, the truth is far more sinister. Behind closed doors, military contractors have been transforming these bombers into something completely different. Something that could single-handedly shift the balance of global military power. The timing of this revelation isn't coincidental either. As tensions with China reach boiling points over Taiwan and Russia continues its aggressive expansion, the US needed to show its hand. They needed the world to know that despite what appearances might suggest, America's bomber fleet isn't weakening. It's evolving into something terrifying. But what they discovered in 2024 will blow your mind. The story begins with a seemingly innocent budget request. In early 2024, the US Air Force quietly asked Congress for just over $50 million for something called the External Heavy Stores Pylon Program. On paper, it looked like routine military bureaucracy, another upgrades project for aging aircraft. The reality is far more explosive. This $50 million program represents the most significant transformation of bomber capabilities since the development of stealth technology. The External Heavy Stores Pylon system doesn't just add a few extra missiles to the B-1 Lancer. It fundamentally rewrites the rules of air-to-sea warfare. Here's what makes this so revolutionary. A standard B-1 Lancer can carry 24 cruise missiles internally in its bomb bays. That's already enough firepower to level a small city. But with the new external pylon system, a single B-1 can now carry 36 cruise missiles total, 12 mounted externally on the new pylons, plus 24 more hidden inside. To put this in perspective, imagine the psychological impact on enemy forces. One B-1 Lancer, operated by just 3 crew members, now carries enough precision-guided munitions to sink 6 modern warships. Those warships would have crews totaling over 3,000 sailors. 3 Americans versus 3,000 enemies. That's the kind of efficiency ratio that keeps military planners in Beijing awake at night. The external pylons aren't just about quantity either. They're specifically designed to accommodate the AGM-158 Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile and the AGM-158C Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile. These aren't your typical bombs. They're subsonic cruise missiles that can strike targets from hundreds of miles away, allowing the B-1 to eliminate threats while staying safely outside enemy air defense zones. Yet, this is nothing compared to what happened in the Nevada desert, deep in the classified test facilities that most people never hear about. Military engineers have been conducting experiments that sound like science fiction. The same underground bunkers that once developed stealth technology are now home to the next generation of warfare. Hypersonic weapons. The official story says the US canceled the AGM-138A Air-Launched Rapid Response Weapon program in March 2023 due to budget constraints. Military websites dutifully reported that the hypersonic missile project was dead. Another victim of Washington's spending priorities. That's exactly what they wanted you to believe. Sources within the defense industry paint a very different picture. The AGM-138A wasn't canceled. It was compartmentalized, moved into what insiders call black program status, where development continues under different code names and buried budget lines. These hypersonic missiles represent a quantum leap in destructive capability. Flying at Mach 8, 8 times the speed of sound, they can reach targets over 1,000 miles away in minutes. More importantly, they're virtually impossible to intercept with current defense systems. The physics are simple, but terrifying. By the time enemy radar detects an incoming hypersonic missile, there's literally no time to react. Traditional surface-to-air missile systems need several minutes to lock onto a target, calculate an intercept course, and launch. Hypersonic weapons compress that timeline to mere seconds. Underground facilities in Nevada have been retrofitted with specialized test chambers designed to simulate hypersonic flight conditions. These aren't the publicized test ranges you see on military documentaries. These are buried deep beneath the desert floor, hidden from satellite surveillance and protected by multiple layers of security clearances. Workers at these facilities describe seeing prototypes that look nothing like conventional missiles, vehicles with exotic propulsion systems, and materials that seem to bend light around them. The kind of technology that makes even experienced military engineers question what they thought they knew about physics. The B-1 Lancer's bomb bays have been secretly reconfigured to carry these hypersonic weapons. The official documentation mentions accommodating larger weapon systems, but the reality is far more specific. Each bomb bay can now house hypersonic missiles that didn't exist just 5 years ago. But there's something the Pentagon doesn't want you to know about these retired B-1s. Visit any major military aviation website, and you'll read about B-1 Lancers being sent to the boneyard at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona. The official narrative describes aging aircraft being carefully preserved in the desert climate, waiting for spare parts or eventual scrapping. It's one of the most successful deception operations in modern military history. On July 2, 2024, an event occurred that should have made international headlines, but was buried in routine military press releases. The Air Force announced it was pulling a B-1 bomber nicknamed Rage out of storage at Davis-Monthan and sending it to Tinker Air Force Base for maintenance. The truth is far more intriguing. Rage wasn't being restored to its original configuration. Intelligence sources reveal it was being fitted with classified communication systems specifically designed for operations in the Indo-Pacific theater. These aren't standard military radio systems. They're hybrid satellite communications arrays that can maintain contact with command centers even when traditional military satellites are compromised or destroyed. The timing coincides perfectly with increased Chinese military activity in the South China Sea. As Beijing continues building artificial islands and militarizing disputed territories, the US needed bombers capable of operating in communications-denied environments. But Rage wasn't the only bomber pulled from supposed retirement. Throughout 2024, 7 different B-1 Lancers were quietly reactivated from Davis-Monthan, each one receiving upgrades that don't appear in any public documentation. These aircraft are being prepared for a type of warfare that most people can't imagine. Extended operations over the Pacific Ocean, where traditional communication links might be severed by enemy action or natural phenomena. The modified B-1s can operate independently for days at a time, making targeting decisions based on artificial intelligence systems that analyze real-time battlefield data. The real reason becomes clear when you see what China did in July 2024. While most Americans were focused on domestic politics and summer vacations, something unprecedented happened in the skies near Alaska. For the first time in history, Chinese H-6N nuclear-capable bombers joined Russian Tu-95MS aircraft in penetrating America's air defense identification zone. The mainstream media coverage focused on the political implications. Another example of China and Russia working together to challenge American influence. What they missed was far more significant. This wasn't just a symbolic gesture or routine training exercise. It was a carefully orchestrated intelligence-gathering operation designed to test American response capabilities. The Chinese weren't just flying near Alaska for headlines. They were mapping radar coverage, communication frequencies, and response times. More importantly, they were specifically testing how America would respond to nuclear-capable bombers approaching the homeland. The H-6N isn't just any bomber. Unlike older Chinese aircraft, the H-6N features in-flight refueling capability and an estimated range of 6,000 kilometers. It's specifically designed to carry the KD-21 cruise missile, with a range between 1,300 and 1,500 kilometers and the ability to deliver nuclear warheads. What most people don't realize is that this Chinese probe mission coincided with classified B-1 Lancer operations that have never been publicly acknowledged. While news cameras focused on F-22 Raptors scrambling to intercept the Chinese bombers, B-1 Lancers were conducting their own shadowing operations. These B-1s weren't just observing. They were actively collecting electronic intelligence on Chinese and Russian aircraft, analyzing their radar signatures, communication protocols, and flight characteristics, information that would prove invaluable in any future conflict. The Alaska incident represented something military strategists call nuclear signaling, both sides demonstrating their ability to project power while remaining just below the threshold of actual conflict. But what made this particular incident different was the involvement of the H-6N. This was China's way of announcing that its nuclear triad was now complete. Land-based missiles, submarine-launched weapons, and now air-delivered nuclear strikes. The message to Washington was clear. China could now threaten American territory from multiple vectors simultaneously. This triggered a secret protocol that hasn't been used since the Cold War. Within hours of the Chinese bomber probe, classified communication channels between the Pentagon and Strategic Command were buzzing with activity that hadn't been seen since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Military personnel describe a level of readiness preparation that went far beyond routine exercises. What they activated was something called the Distributed Operations Protocol, a classified system designed to coordinate bomber operations across multiple time zones and combat theaters simultaneously. B-1 Lancers stationed at bases across the continental United States were quietly placed on alert status, their crews briefed on flight profiles that remained classified. But the most interesting development involved aircraft that weren't supposed to exist. Aviation enthusiasts and military watchers have long speculated about a secret program called Black Star, described in a 2006 Aviation Week article as an orbital spaceplane system. The official military response has always been that such programs are either fictional or highly exaggerated. Recent events suggest otherwise. Satellite tracking enthusiasts reported unusual activity at several Air Force installations during the same timeframe as the Alaska incident. Facilities that don't typically handle bomber operations suddenly showed increased security measures and restricted airspace designations. More intriguing, radar operators at civilian airports near these installations reported aircraft signatures that didn't match any known military aircraft. Objects moving at altitudes and speeds that seemed impossible for conventional bombers, yet too large and slow for ballistic missiles. The connection between these mysterious aircraft and the B-1 Lancer program becomes clear when you examine the timing. Every unusual sighting coincided with documented B-1 operations, almost as if the conventional bombers were providing cover for something else entirely. Former aerospace engineers with security clearances describe a program that uses conventional bombers like the B-1 as decoy platforms. While enemy intelligence focuses on tracking the obvious military aircraft, the real reconnaissance and strike missions are being conducted by vehicles that exist in the gray area between aircraft and spacecraft. These orbital platforms can conduct surveillance missions over any point on Earth within hours of receiving tasking orders. More importantly, they can deliver weapons with precision that makes traditional ballistic missiles obsolete. What they found in the satellite data will shock you. Commercial satellite imagery from the period following the Alaska incident reveals construction activity at military installations that had been dormant for decades. Facilities originally built during the Cold War for nuclear weapon storage were being retrofitted with equipment that doesn't match any known military systems. The most significant activity centered around underground complexes in Nevada, Colorado, and Montana. These aren't the well-known missile silos that tourists can visit on historical tours. These are deep underground facilities connected by tunnel systems that appear on no official maps. Workers with appropriate security clearances describe seeing B-1 Lancer components being transported into these underground facilities, but not complete aircraft. Instead, they report seeing advanced avionics systems, modified bomb bay assemblies, and propulsion components that seem too advanced for 1980s-era bombers. The implications are staggering. Rather than simply upgrading existing B-1 Lancers, the military appears to be building hybrid aircraft that combine the B-1's proven airframe with technology that won't be publicly acknowledged for decades. These hybrid bombers would possess capabilities that exist nowhere else in the world. The ability to operate in space-adjacent environments, deliver weapons with precision measured in centimeters rather than meters, and conduct missions lasting weeks rather than hours. More disturbing, the satellite data shows similar construction at facilities near B-1 bases that are supposedly being prepared for retirement. If these aircraft were truly being phased out of service, why would the military be investing in underground infrastructure specifically designed to support their operations? The answer lies in understanding the difference between public military policy and classified operational reality. While Pentagon spokespeople discuss B-1 retirement timelines and B-21 radar production schedules, an entirely different program continues in facilities that don't appear on organizational charts. The 2032 Retirement Lie reveals the most shocking truth of all. Every major defense publication repeats the same timeline. B-1 Lancers will begin retirement in 2032, replaced by the more advanced B-21 Raider stealth bomber. Military officials cite maintenance costs, aging airframes, and the need for stealth capabilities that the B-1 can't provide. It's carefully crafted misinformation designed to mislead foreign intelligence agencies. Industry insiders with access to classified production schedules paint a completely different picture. Rather than retirement, the B-1 fleet is being systematically rebuilt using advanced materials and propulsion systems that won't exist in any public documentation until the 2040s. The retirement designation provides perfect cover for the most ambitious military aviation program since the development of stealth technology. Aircraft that appear to be headed for the scrapyard are actually being transformed into platforms that will define air warfare for the next 50 years. These modified B-1s incorporate artificial intelligence systems that can analyze battlefield conditions and make targeting decisions faster than human crews. Propulsion upgrades that allow operations at altitudes previously reserved for spy planes. Electronic warfare capabilities that can disable enemy communications networks across entire continents. Most significantly, they're being equipped with weapon systems that blur the line between conventional and strategic nuclear capabilities. Precision-guided munitions with explosive yields that can eliminate hardened targets without the political complications of traditional nuclear weapons. The official B-21 Raider program serves as the perfect misdirection operation. While enemy intelligence agencies focus on tracking stealth bomber development and production timelines, the real advancement in American air power is happening with aircraft they believe are obsolete. By 2040, when the public finally learns about these capabilities, the strategic balance will have shifted so dramatically that potential adversaries will face an impossible decision: accept American military dominance or risk annihilation in conflicts they cannot win. The B-1 Lancer program represents more than just military advancement. It's a demonstration that American technological superiority remains decades ahead of any potential rival, hidden behind layers of classification and misdirection that make the Manhattan Project look transparent by comparison. The implications of these revelations extend far beyond military technology. They represent a fundamental shift in how global powers will interact for generations to come. The careful balance of nuclear deterrence that has prevented major conflicts since World War II is being replaced by something far more complex and potentially more dangerous. What makes these developments truly concerning is their secrecy. Democratic societies depend on public oversight of military programs, yet these capabilities have been developed completely outside normal government accountability. The American people, and indeed the world, are witnessing the emergence of weapon systems that could reshape civilization without any public debate about their implications. Subscribe now to uncover more military secrets they don't want you to know, because this is only the beginning. Next week, we'll reveal the classified aircraft programs operating from bases that don't exist on any map, and why the military is preparing for conflicts in environments you never imagined possible. The truth is more incredible than any science fiction, and more terrifying than any nightmare.